Hey, dude's back in the kitchen. Today we're going to be making what I call 24-hour bone broth. We're rendering it 3 different times. But I share with you the basics of me trying this new adventure of the 24-hour bone broth, beef bone broth with different ingredients from my original. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen, dude in the kitchen. I'm going to be rendering some of these bones that I've got for free, and some I paid extra. I paid $25 for all the bones, like the soup bones and the marrow bones from a beef I purchased. So we're going to be rendering some beautiful bone broth. Look at my original bone broth. Look how gelatinous that is. That is like, yes, so that was a 48-hour bone broth. But today, I'm going to be doing a 24-hour bone broth, meaning I'm only going to cook it for 24 hours, render it, put the bones back in, cook it for another 24 hours, get a second helping out of it, and then do it a third time. But I'm going to show you my first time on the 24 hours, so let's get started. As you can see, I got my crock pot over here. I got some water on standby because I need to cover the basic stuff. Now you can use a beef broth or beef bouillon. I just opted to use a little bit of water with my marrow bones, my soup bones, and then I've got some oxtail also. I pre-roasted the oxtail in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour. After a half hour, I flipped them and roasted them on the other side. And then we just took them out of the oven and let them set. So these are the pre-roasted oxtails. From my spice rack, I've got sea salt. We're going to use a tablespoon of sea salt, a tablespoon of black pepper. We're going to use 2 bay leaves and a teaspoon of rosemary. We're also going to use a tablespoon of red wine vinegar. The vinegar is the acid which is going to help release all the collagen from the bones. Now, fresh from my garden, that's right, folks, fresh from my garden, I've got fennel. We're going to trim that up and add that to the thing. I've got celery stalk here. I've got half an onion. I've got a whole garlic. We're going to render that down. And I pulled a bunch of carrots out of my garden this morning. So let's go ahead and get everything set up. Set this lid aside. I'm going to set my bones, my soup bones, with the marrow down in there first. Then settle in these oxtails, soup bones. My butcher cut these up really nice, and I got them again. I purchased them from my butcher, and I paid $25 extra. And I've got 8 bags of soup bones, and I think 8 of these marrow bones. So I'm just going to pour water in there. Yes, make sure we top it off with water, because that is our broth, the water. So I used almost 3 quarts of water. I'm going to plug this in and turn it on low. I'm going to process this fennel. Cooking these variety of vegetables in this bone broth, it'll release all of the good ingredients into your recipe, your bone broth. Then cut the celery in about 2-inch pieces. And I'm just quartering the onion. And the garlic. This is the easiest way I found to actually peel the garlic. Put that in there. Process the carrots. I'm going to keep the carrots nice and long. And you know what? I'm leaving the skins on the carrots because there's still a lot of good nutrition in those skins. Give the vegetables a nice good thorough rinse since I cut them up. And they came out of the garden, except for I didn't take the onion or the celery out of my garden. I actually cheated and got it from the grocery store. So I'm going to place those on there. And then get the garlic in there. 1 tablespoon. I'm using, you can use apple cider vinegar. I'm using red wine vinegar. 1 teaspoon of rosemary. 2 bay leaves. 1 tablespoon of black pepper. 1 tablespoon of salt. Place the lid on, lock her down. And then I'll be back in 24 hours and we'll continue the process because we've got to filter the juices out of there, reload everything back into the pot, add more water and some more spices, and then we're going to go ahead and render it a second time and then a third time. So I'll see you guys tomorrow to render down that and try to filter off all of the solids from the bone broth so we can get a good clear bone broth. This is a new adventure for me. I've never done this type of bone broth, and this is the 24 hours. Now you can render bone broth anywhere from 18 to 48 hours is what they say you can do it. So we'll be right back. Okay, it's been 24 hours and this has been stewing in the slow cooker. So I'm going to be taking it out and separating the bulk from the juice. I prepared for it this time. I've got tongs, I've got a slotted spoon, I've got a colander, I've got a sieve with a cheesecloth in it, and a pot in which to capture the broth. So we're going to capture the bulk of it in here. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Remove the lid. Okay, I'm just removing the bulk of everything and just letting as much fluid drain off as I can. And I'm going to let it drain through into the pot. We'll set those aside because we're going to be using this again. We're going to make another round 2 of this. Here's those big marrow bones. There's still some, well, I guess we cooked the marrow out, but we can still get some nutrients out of it. Now this has some marrow left in it. Now I'm just going to start ladling juices through there. Okay, get my pot holders. I'm going to lift that crock out and carefully pour the solution in through this. And I'm going to pour everything back into the crock because we're going to go with round 2. Grab these bones. And then put all this goodness back in. I want to top it off with water. Okay, turn that back on low. Then add the ingredients I had yesterday. Salt, rosemary, ground pepper, and a couple of bay leaves. Cover it, lock it down, and then park it. Okay, yum. So I'm just going to let it come to room temperature here on the stove and let that cool. Then I'll put it in the refrigerator and we'll get the tallow to float to the top just like before, and I'll clean the tallow off and we'll strain it one more time, and then we'll can it, make it shelf stable. And this will be round one of 3 rounds that I'm going to do with the same ingredients. So we're going to do 3 ingredients. So stay tuned. We'll do the refrigerator thing, and then tomorrow we'll come back and process round 2. Hey, this is day 3 of rendering the bones, and this is the second rendering of the bones. So I'm going to take the broth out, process it, but before I do that, I've got to get the bone broth that we rendered yesterday, that we got out yesterday, and put it in the refrigerator. I'll be right back. Okay, I've got it, and I wanted to show you the tallow that we got out of it. Now I'm saving the tallow because I want to make some soap. And I'm saving, yeah, the tallow is right here. Now I might do something a little bit different with saving my tallow. In fact, let me do that now. Okay, I'm just going to get a used cottage cheese container, clean of course, and I'm going to take the tallow in this bag and dump it in there, because I'm not going to render tallow for a while. I still got a lot of bones to go through. Now we got to get this tallow out of the pan. Like I did the other day, I'm just going to take a butter knife and go around the edge to free it up, and then cut it down the middle, just like a pie. There you go. There. And look how much beef bone broth we got out of the first rendering. Refer to my first video of doing the 48-hour bean broth or beef broth. I'm going to go put this on the stovetop, and we're going to heat it up, or I'm going to heat it up. You're just going to sit there and watch me. And we're going to let it sit there and dissolve and melt and get warm. Because back here I got my pressure canner, yeah, and my jars, and they're getting ready to get heated up, because we're going to go ahead, well, I'm going to go ahead and can the broth today too. This broth, and I'll just can every day. Now this has to pressure can at 10 pounds at my elevation for 70 minutes is what the USDA recommends. So while we're waiting for that to heat up, let's get this stuff done. Just not enough counter space. I turned my heat off on this. I'm gonna set this aside. Okay. Let's set this pan over here, because I wanna separate the solids from the liquid. And we're just going to put the solids in here and let the juices drip right through the cloth. Ooh, that's hot. And yes. This is the second 24 hours on these bones. I got myself so backed into a corner. I just can't wait to redo my kitchen, but we can't afford it until next year is where I plan. I've got some projects lined up for next year. This year, we've got other obligations we're taking care of. Satisfy myself that this is drained. We're going to put it in this bowl right here. And we'll continue removing the solids and then the broth. Okay, come out of there. We're going to set that back down in there. Put the bones back in, and this is our third and final time of rendering bones broth from the same bones. And put this back on, put the heat back on low. We're going to let that cook for 24 hours. That took 3 quarts exactly. Open up my spice cupboard, and again, put in 2 bay leaves, a teaspoon of rosemary, 1 teaspoon of pepper, 1 tablespoon of sea salt, and 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. The vinegar is important. It gets that acid to be able to go into those bones and extract what is left of the goodness in there. Yeah, my goal is get all the rest of the collagen out of the bones. This is the first time ever doing the 24-hour method and rendering it 3 times. So we're going to have varying degrees of bone broth when we get done. So let's get this juice out of here. Now I got quite a bit, so this has to set in the refrigerator overnight. And the reason being is you want the tallow to solidify and float to the top. So like I just showed you at the beginning of this segment, we could scrape it off. Okay, this is liquefied now. And I want to decant it into my hot jars and leaving a 1-inch headspace. Now, meat products, you have to pressure can. We'll see how much I have here. Set this lid aside. Right up to that lip is a 1-inch headspace. Okay, I don't have enough here left for another jar, so I'm just going to probably put it in a cup and drink it. So we'll set that aside for now. And then to remove any fat on the surfaces, because this is a fat product, I'm going to use some vinegar on a paper towel and just make sure those are nice and wiped clean. Cut through any grease. And I got my lids pre-washed and ready to go right here. Put these down finger tight. and then place them in the canner. And then as far as canning goes, just go ahead and refer to my other video on the 48-hour process, and that will show you exactly how to use this canner. I love this canner. I do have an American canner, but I gifted it to my daughter. So we're gonna let that go and come to pressure, and then we'll do the countdown. And that's it on this segment. This is the final rendering of the bones, and we're canning the first rendering of broth. I'm back, and this is not the final day. I still got another day to go, but we're gonna take the bones out of the pot, and we're gonna process this, and we're done. We're done rendering bones for broth. I have some jars in here sterilizing, but I have to can the bone broth that we rendered yesterday. I got to can those today. And then, of course, we set this from yesterday. This is the broth and the tallow. I've got to take this tallow and place it in here. Yep, see, there's my tallow. And this will be the third rendering of tallow that I'm going to use. And for each time we do this, the tallow becomes thinner and thinner. Look at that. Not as much fat. See? But look at all of that broth. So I got to turn the heat on under the broth from yesterday, and we're going to go ahead and can that broth. In the meantime, I'm going to put this tallow in the freezer and work on that this winter, like I explained earlier. Once this is heated up, I'll go ahead and take my hot jars out, and we'll start the canning process. And in the meantime, I can turn this off, unplug it, because we are now done with the crock pot for this batch of bones. This is one set of bones. I got 3 renderings out of it. So we're just going to, well, actually, I got to put this in the sink because it's time to wash it up. Now these bones go out into the greenhouse and get saved, because we're going to incinerate the bones and make fertilizer for the garden. Check on this. My jars, check on my jar lids too, or my jars too. Yep, they should be ready. I have 4 jars in here, but I don't think we'll be using 4 jars. Just in case. Yep. All right, let's get this dispensed. Now 1-inch headspace goes right to there. I got 3 quarts. Excuse me, 3 pints. Take my vinegar and wipe the rims to cut through that grease or the fat that's on there. Want my water level up just a little bit more, about like that. Put the lid on, lock it, have it on full open steam, and we'll wait for the canning process. In the meantime, I'm going to try to separate as many bones out of here as possible, because I just want bones in that bone bucket, and I've been storing it in the greenhouse so they'll get nice and dried out. I'm going to put this over on a plate and continue picking bones out. The meat that's in here is oxtail. That might make a meal. I'm going to put this in that pan, put that there. Filter that broth. That's how much broth I got, just taking it off of the bones and stuff. And the final pour. Ugh. Wow, that's a lot of broth in there. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this in the refrigerator and let the tallow float to the top and solidify. And this is our third rendering from that. That's rendering number 3. Yep. And I'm going to go ahead and move my canner over to the high burner. So in tomorrow's segment, all I have to do is can the broth that's in there and remove the tallow and can the broth, and then we'll come up with a final output of rendering these bones 3 times. We'll be right back. Hey, this is the final day of processing this bone broth. Now, just to recap real quick, we took bones. I took some oxtail, roasted oxtails. I took some bone marrow that I got from my butcher. And I also received a bunch of soup bones. We put them in the slow cooker, cooked them for 24 hours with some vegetables and spices. And then we poured off the fluid and put all the contents back into the cooker, added some more water, started a second round of cooking. But in the meantime, we took that broth that we filtered out of the cooker and we put it in the refrigerator. And the reason why we had to put it in the refrigerator is because I needed the tallow to solidify and float to the top. We harvested the tallow and then we put it in the freezer each time we did that. So the first rendering of canning, getting to the point of actually canning, the first 3 jars of bone broth, it took 3 days. So this, and day 4 was yesterday. We canned 3 more pints yesterday. Today is the final process. And I want to show you guys what we got. Look at this right here. Got just a little bit of tallow there, not much. And then it did solidify a little bit. It's a little bit gelatinous, but look at the volume of broth we got in that. So I've got my jars in the canner. They're sterilizing right now. And then I've got to harvest the tallow from this stuff. Yes. Not much tallow left, because mind you, this is the 3rd day or the third time of rendering, we pretty much got all of the tallow out. And then I just got to figure out how to render tile. A new adventure for me coming up is making soap. Yes, and also making making bone meal for the garden. All kinds of products from just this one project, but those will be sub-projects from this main project. But look how much tallow I got. Gonna do some more bone broth, but I can't do it right now because I'm all out of jars. So I'm putting this back in the freezer. I'm not sure if I have to freeze it or not. I'm just not sure, but let's get the heat turned on this. Put the lid on and just let it liquefy. And the jars should be ready by then. That should, yeah, that's getting nice and hot. This is the last canning. And I think I might end up with a total of 4 pints for this segment. Okay, my jars are ready. Let's get them out. I'm gonna turn the heat off on this right now. And the broth is warming up. Yowza, too much water. So we only need 2 inches of water in this. So I'm gonna pour some out in the sink. And that's good. Okay. Okay, that's hot. Let's get these in the jars. As a reminder, just 1 inch of headspace. And out of this batch, I got a lot left, but you know what? That's okay. I think I'll do a taste test. My vinegar, clean paper towel, my clean lids, turn the heater on. Final product to be canned. Final. And yes, the taste test. It was exactly 1 mug full. All right, now I've got all the spices in there because I refreshed the spices each time we processed it. So, oh, that is good. That would make an excellent stock for like a beef soups or beef-based roasts. Oh, it's got just the right amount of salt and other spices, just the right amount. Plus, it's loaded with collagen, which is really good, helpful, and healthy for the body. So I'm gonna sign off, finish canning, and when my jars are come out, cool down, we'll have a final display of the beef bone broth that I was able to get out of the 24-hour cooking 3 times. Yes, so we'll be right back. Okay, we're at the final steps of this canning. Get these jars out of the canner. They all seem very well intact. Now it's just time to find out if they actually seal properly. Because the ones that don't seal, that's okay. We'll just use those up right away. So 4 of them of the 3rd rendering of those bones. So we're going to let them sit here and cool a little bit, and then I'm going to show you guys the final amount out of, we got a 1 set of bones, processing them 3 times. Okay, I've got the final count down here, so don't be confused. This set is what I did for, this is how much I got out of the 48-hour beef bone broth. And I just processed them just once. I got 3 pints out of the first rendering of the 24-hour bone broth. This is the second rendering, and this is the final rendering. 4 pints, 3 pints, 3 pints. So this was quite the adventure with making beef bone broth, the 24-hour beef bone broth. Now I have a variation. So I've got these canned and ready to be shelf stable. These will be going out into my pantry for use throughout the year, especially throughout the winter, making nice, wholesome, hot soups and stews. Well, I'm Jerry Hansen, your host. This is Pine Meadows Hobby Farm with the dude in the kitchen making 24-hour beef bone broth, rendering them 3 times. Stay tuned to more videos. You could do that by subscribing, clicking that bell icon that alerts you to new videos as I upload them. Give us a thumbs up. Share my videos on your social media platforms. Helps us out. Remember, be safe. Always be kind. I'll see you guys in my next adventure. Yep. Whatever adventure I plan, it has to be here on the homestead. There's a reason. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.